any general business they want to discuss prior to our hearings? If not, we'll get right to the first hearing. Will the applicant of the Planet Aid come forward, please? For ease of communication, please have a seat. Welcome. In the event you need to post something on the board on this side here, we'll get the assistants to bring the microphone over so you'll be able to display what you need to display, and we'll be able to raise the microphone. On this panel, any board members have any conflicts? If not, it will be the 5 full-time members. Okay. That being approximately 7:05 on the application of Planet Aid of 47 Sumner Street, Milford, Mass. For a special permit relief pursuant to section 3.2.5.1 of the zoning bylaw to allow the establishment and placement of portable storage containers at the following sites in accordance with the application and plans that are on file. 47 Sumner Street, 93 Prospect Street, 110 South Main Street, and 91 Medway Road. The applicant has filed these locations with a special permit with the board. Concerning questions with the applicant, explain the reasons that you assert the special permit is in harmony with the purpose and intent of the zoning bylaw. The applicant states section 3.2.5 specifically provides for portable storage containers in commercial and industrial districts by special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Concerning the question, does the proposed use of the premises will not create undue traffic or congestion or impair pedestrian safety, the applicant states the proposed locations are within the existing parking lots and will not generate any new traffic on the various sites. All proposed locations were developed after consultation with the Office of Planning and Engineering. And when the applicant was asked, the proposed use of the premises will not cause harm to the neighborhood or create a nuisance or hazardous affecting the health, safety, and general welfare of the public, the applicant states, proposed locations are all situated so as to not prevent interference with both vehicle and pedestrian circulation within each site. None of the proposed locations are within a public way or required front yard. The applicant does have here signatures of each property owner that has signed off on these particular locations if the board chooses to move forward with that. And we have a letter here addressed to the Zoning Board of Appeals from Chairman of the Milford Planning Board. The Milford Planning Board reviewed the petition listed above at the regular scheduled meeting of April 2nd and recommends the following. A favorable recommendation with provisions to maintain, please see town planner letter. And from Larry Duncan, the town planner indicates the applicant requested a special permit to allow for the placement of up to 4 4x4 portable storage containers at each of the above-listed sites as located on the attached site plans which we have for the purpose of collecting used clothing. Under Zoning Board, Sections 3.2.5 specifically provides for portable storage containers in a commercial and industrial districts by special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Each of the storage containers / collection boxes will display on all 4 sides the company logo and the words clothes and shoes, as well as various instructions and other pertinent information. The proposed locations are all within the various parking lots and will not generate any new traffic on the sites. All proposed locations were developed after consultation with the Office of Planning and Engineering and are all situated as to prevent interference with both vehicle and pedestrian circulation within each site. None of the proposed locations are within the public way or a required front yard. Therefore, I recommend a favorable report be forwarded to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Following the ZBA grant of a special permit, site plan approval will still be necessary that needs to go in front of the planning board. With that, sir, please introduce yourself, and I'll turn the floor over to you.
Paul Besra, Planet Aid, Sumner Street, Milford.
You can please sit.
Yeah, I think I put information for each site that we applied for and the amount of boxes on each site, and I can answer any questions. We're just applying for the permits to place these boxes.
Okay. Have any questions from board members? Anthony?
The only thing I'd like to comment is that, I have no problem with these collection boxes as long as they're maintained and empty. I have in the past
I don't know if it's this particular gentleman's boxes, but, you know, seeing furniture on the bottom, baby carriages and stuff like that. How often do you,
We are in
Service them.
Milford, and we have trucks on the road 7 days a week. We have 800 numbers on all our boxes, and we service depending on the volume, so it could be 1, 2, 3 times a week. But at any point in time, someone calls the 800 number, we come out the same day and pick everything up.
and what do you do actually with the clothes and the stuff that's in the boxes? Do you store it here in Milford?
In the factory on Sumner Street, we will,
Yeah.
yeah.
And is it separated there and
It's separated and packed into different bags of clothes. The shoes are separated, jackets are separated, some of those go to shelters, and then the rest of the clothes gets baled up and shipped out.
and what do you do if someone throws electronics in there?
We have to pay to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have dumpsters in-house at the new facility, some for mattresses, some furniture, some all for TVs, and we have companies that come and pick those up.
So you are going to be responsible for any materials that are even left
Everything.
outside the boxes?
Absolutely.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I have a,
Joe?
yes, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
At the last meeting, the two people were here to present for approval for containers at certain sites. After that meeting, and I'm not sure how long after, at least a couple of weeks, I was going to Holliston, and I noticed 4 boxes, I believe, in Milford, in what they call the Bragville section of Milford. Where.
The athletic club?
I know where the club, what,
The athletic club,
Those have been removed.
the American Athletic
been
Club.
removed?
Yes, sir.
All right, because they were there for a while after our last meeting.
No, they're gone.
All right.
Any other comments, John?
Yeah. The first time that these people came before us, wasn't Hannaford's one of the proposed sites
No.
down at Hannaford Market?
No, Shaw's and Kmart,
Came up.
World Gym. And there were 3 sites.
Coles?
No, Kohl's, no. You approved 2, and we had to reapply Shaw's in this application because of the spot of the box on the lot. But you approved, oh, God,
Approved Hannaford, I believe,
Hannaford's.
and Kmart.
No, that wasn't, oh, yes, Hannaford's Kmart, but there was only 2 out of 3, that's right. Yeah, Hannaford's and
So
Kmart.
now, will these be placed at the Hannaford site, or is that?
We
out?
did, we have since, yeah.
Hannaford's was approved the last time.
Yeah, yeah, and we have 2 boxes.
And that was, I believe, we even had that as a 1-year
Yep.
decision
Yep.
to monitor.
Yep,
Okay, and now if I understand it, it's gonna be Shaw's, Pins, Kohl's.
in our facility
your
at
facility.
corporate, yeah. And
Where exactly in Shaw's? I can't really tell. Where exactly at Shaw's?
I got a map
We had
in
a
there.
concern the last time that.
Right, it's not on that
it's
residential
that-
side at all. And what I changed was, this unit looks more like a barn, it's a mini shed.
Okay.
It's not the metal box, and there's only gonna be 1, not 4. And it's at the island, as you come in,
To the main entrance.
right, there's 1, 2, 3 islands.
Why don't you have a seat? I'm gonna, I basically went through there tonight, where the Sovereign Bank is to the right. When you come in the main entrance off 140, there's an island, it's gonna be right there.
Oh, okay.
Before, we had it stuffed way
Yeah, it
over
was in the
underneath the
corner. We had
trees.
concerns about that.
Right.
And it's only gonna be the 1 small shed.
Okay, and the one at Kohl's is going to be,
That's of the original style that you approve for Hannaford's. It's gonna be 2 of those, not 4.
On pins, are you talking about?
No, on Kohl's.
Coles.
On Pins, it's just a 1 single 6x4 box that has two mouths to it, but it's just 1 box at Pins.
Similar to the shed type?
Well, it's metal, but it's the same size as the shed. And then at our facility, we still would like to put 4 of them on Sumner Street at our corporate facility.
Dave?
Yeah, no, I'm just Kind of like I said the last time, I think I'm really only in favor of approving them on Sumner Street. And, you know, I don't see the need to have them spread out all over town.
Let me add one thing too. Each site that we get approved, we designate the funds to the Milford Food Pantry, and each site is yielding about $1,000 a year for the food pantry. So right now, with Hannaford's and with the other one you approved, Kmart, those are already designated funds to the food pantry, and we talk to those people, and they get a check quarterly. And these other 3 sites will also be designated funds to the food. So it's a good cause, and all of these clothes are gonna go to the dump and to the landfill. And it's just more costly. I'm not gonna get into the environmentals of it, but there is a purpose to these if you can properly maintain them. To take, you know, we don't invite trash and couches and mattresses and things like that, but sometimes you just,
Look, I think you guys did a great business. I think that's what it is. I think it is a business.
it's a charity.
Well, you know.
100% charity, 501c3, audited 4 times a year by the IRS, and you don't get that status by not being a real charity.
Well, you know, we have a difference of opinion about
No, I
that.
respect your opinion. You were skeptical about charities, but we are,
No, I'm not skeptical about charities. I'm just, you know, when you're buying buildings for $1.5 million and you got 7 trucks on the road and stuff, it's a business, you know what I mean? Who, you guys don't.
has
need-
operational expenses, but all the
Yeah.
proceeds after expenses, 100% of that money goes to charitable programs, 100% of it. And that's how a charity is structured.
Of course, the officers may have a different level of the expenses part of it.
Listen,
It's
I'm
a
not.
business.
Yeah, it's a business, and, you know, so if I wanted to put, you know, cans all over town and collect cans from people and make, you know, it's just my opinion, you know what I mean? I think you guys it's a good business. I just don't think we need to have them all over town.
Anybody else want to comment? Brian?
On the Shaw's site,
Yeah.
it looks like when you're pulling it off of Prospect Street, it's like directly across from the entrance there.
That's correct.
To the right, and then there's 4 islands, and we stayed away from the left side as you pull in, because it's residential there. So if you go 1, 2, it's on the 3rd island. The last island's in front of the bank, it's 1 island back.
Okay. Is there gonna be striping around it, so there'll be sort of a loading zone, or is it just taking up a parking space and it'll just be normal
It's
parking
taking
spaces
up a
nearby?
parking space.
I'd just be concerned, because that's a tough lot as it is. And if there's gonna be, you know, cars kind of waiting to do drop-offs, there's gonna be stuff around it. Just be concerned that that would be problematic for the parking lot.
For people dumping,
For people just using that parking lot, that there's gonna be stuff around and cars waiting to drop off, it just, if it's off to the side, where at least you have a designated area where cars pull in, park, get out, take the stuff and drop it off. But this
they'll be able to
looks to me like
pull
it's just right in the middle of
They'll
the
be able to
parking
pull
lot.
in that, what's only 4 by 6, they'll be able to pull into that one spot and put their bags in. And it's not like it's all day, you know, every few minute traffic. It's occasional that people come in and donate.
It's just, again, one bin, that Shaw site there.
One bin, it's a mini barn is what we call it.
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
You know, I still have a major problem with having these boxes all over town. I think creates, I think clearly it's an eyesore. I'm not in favor of going down the road with all these locations. You know, we received some correspondence today, although it was anonymous. And I know that they're not your company's boxes, but when we see pictures like this with trash everywhere, whether it's your box or somebody else's box, that can happen, and it does become an eyesore. And we need, as a board, need to regulate this type of business coming into the community, because you can't have these at every shopping center and every parking lot from the north end of town to the south end of town. It's just gonna get uncontrollable. You know, I know in the last time you were in here, your company has monitored this probably quite well based on some of what I've already seen. That's why we went out on the road to try and keep this at a yearly process, to have to come back and do a renewal as well. Let me ask you a question while we're talking about this. In these parking lots, snow removal is a big aspect. These boxes are going to be buried in snow during the winter.
We typically coordinate with the property owner, who keeps us in touch with the person who's gonna do the snow, and we haven't had any issues with snow removal.
Talk to me about the peak times of donations. What do you see as the peak time of these boxes being utilized?
April to October,
April to October?
yeah. It slows down over the winter because of the snow, et cetera, but, and we shovel out all our boxes personally. We have a machine that we take around if it's heavy snow, and we arrange that with the property owners, and we have a snow blowers that we take around, and then shovels. So we, when snow is excessive, we go out and clear all the boxes that aren't already plowed.
And when are your busy times that, or your best recollection of the best times where people drop and throw clothing and shoes in these bins?
At supermarkets and malls, they typically will coordinate it when they go shopping. You know, they'll drop a bag and then they'll go shopping, so it's a convenience for them. I don't, we haven't studied actually when people actually go in, but I suspect it's any and all times.
Well, this picture doesn't look like someone was dropping off and shopping. It looks like they were just dumping on
What's
this
that?
one.
That's not my boxes. Is that on Main Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the two big boxes that were on Main Street there.
Okay.
But we are in town, we actually have 14 trucks on the road 7 days a week, and we have the 800 numbers on all our boxes, and we get a call to the 800 number typically the same day the guys will be there. And the fact that we're in town, I would even emphasize that more, that we could get stuff the same day.
What's your standard, what do you do standardly as far as monitoring the boxes? How do you monitor the boxes, whether they're full or?
Oh, we start out with a weekly pickup, and based on, every box has a barcode inside, and it gets scanned, and then the clothing gets put in a cart and weighed. And based on what comes out of that, sometimes we have to go twice a week, 3 times a week. Some sites we go every day, based on the volumes that come out of the boxes. I don't suspect that that would be the case here. The most we've visited sites that have been in Milford in the past is 3 times a week.
3 times a week?
For pickups. But like I said, even if it's a day that's not a scheduled pickup day, if someone calls that 800 number, we send a truck out.
So you're expecting the public to call?
I was going to actually ask you, John, if you would comment.
I have a couple of questions or comments. The first thing that comes to mind is with this fantastic service that they have of 7 days a week, all day long, what is the need for so many boxes in so many locations? Coupled with the fact that they're on Sumner Street, which is basically the quickest place for everyone in town to get to. It couldn't be much more centrally located. The other point I'd just like to bring up is during the last meeting, it was stated that the property owners have the discretion of what to do with the proceeds from the boxes.
Correct.
If that's changed, and all of these proceeds are going to the food pantry, then, maybe you can get that in writing or some sort of guarantee if that affects your decision. And thirdly, snow removal, possibly not with this company's boxes, but with many others in town, has been a problem. We have a lot of zoning violations that we're working to correct, and a number of them had an issue with getting them out promptly because they were so buried in snow. Again, that may not be the case here, but something for you to consider.
My other question was going to be from an enforcement standpoint. In the event the board chose to go down this road a little bit for a testing process, I'm sure from a zoning's perspective and an enforcement, we can probably throw in certain aspects of penalties and warnings in the event there's debris around it. We could probably do some type of an enforcement that way with a penalty, whether maybe they get a 30-day suspension of the box, or probably go down that road a little bit from the zoning perspective, I would think.
I don't know if we can do
Try to
that. I mean,
enforce it.
any violation of the zoning bylaw is subject to a, up to a $200 a day fine, but I think you could also revoke the special permit if we had issues.
You had some issues, based on a number of times of violations. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Tony?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that, for years, I've lived in Milford all my life, and for years, we've always donated stuff in those boxes. And my wife was the kind that she knew exactly where the boxes were. We used to go to the one down near Hanford's, and there used to be one behind this Salvation Army. And that was the only two that I think that were around. So I think that people can get accustomed to, once they know where they are, and either this company could do it by advertising in the paper or on the radio where the boxes are located. So I really don't feel that we need 10 boxes, 15 boxes in town. 1 or 2 locations should be able to suffice.
Okay.
We typically try to figure out how many boxes a typical town will take based on the population. And based on the population, there's a formula that says this town could spread out X amount of boxes based on the volume of clothes anticipated. And that's all we go by. We don't like to oversaturate either. But this business has become crazy with for-profit companies. If we put a box down in a town, within a week or two, there's a box next to ours.
I've seen that, yeah.
And there's about 40 companies doing this now, and there's only about 8 of us that are nonprofits, 501c3s. And it's become very difficult to control. And so a lot of areas do get oversaturated. But you have an ordinance here and a very stringent application process. I don't think you're gonna have a problem with overpopulating boxes.
Well, actually, my experiences with the ones in Hannaford over the years, I probably see more clothes being taken out of it than put in it.
into it.
I actually saw one little
Our
kid
box?
crawling out of it. Well, not yours, but one of those boxes. I actually saw a little kid climbing out of one, handing his mother the stuff. So I don't know how many are right for the town and everything, but I still think a 2 or 3 prime locations would be enough.
Okay, great. Any other comments or questions? If not,
Just
you have
to
the
answer-
last word before I take it under
Just
advisement.
to answer the question about the funds, when we sign somebody up, they not only sign a contract, but we get a W-9 signed by, in this case, the food pantry, and that's on file in our database. And that piece of paper designates the funds for the charity. So it's all in the computer, and it's in the database. When we sign someone up, that's how we do it.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll close the hearing, take it under advisement. Yeah, some of it, yeah.
Tugboat?
Okay. That being after 7:10, this is on the application of Emily Sombers. Emily, would you please come up and step forward?
Yeah.
This is your first time?
Yes.
Okay, I'll kind of explain the procedure. I'll be reading the notice of hearing, and on top of that, I'll go through your application, and then we'll allow you to tell us what you want to do.
Okay.
Okay? This is on the application of Emily Sarbis of 29 Forest Street for a special permit relief pursuant to Section 3.3 or other applicable provisions of the zoning bylaw in relation to the premises of 29 Forest Street in Milford. The special permit is sought to permit the establishment of a home hair salon within the premises of 29 Forest Street. Before we go any further, any board members have a conflict with this applicant? If not, we'll continue on with the 5 main members. As reviewing the applicant's permit, and when the applicant was asked to explain the reasons that you assert the special permit is sought in harmony with the general and purpose of the intent of the zoning bylaw, the applicant states, "A home hair salon with 1 chair is allowed with a special permit," and in parentheses, yes. Concerning the question of does the proposed use of the premises will not create undue traffic congestion or impair safety, pedestrian safety, the applicant states, it will be a one-person hair salon and will never have more than one person at my house at a time. Concerning the question, does the proposed use of the premises will not cause harm to the neighborhood or create a nuisance or hazardous affecting the wealth, safety, and general welfare of the public, the applicant state there is no harmful chemicals that will be dangerous. It will be enclosed and no traffic or noise. With that, the applicant, there's a drawing in your file concerning a layout, I guess a handwritten layout, correct?
Yes.
Of the rooms and where the chair is going to be, sink is going to be, doorway. I don't see where the parking is going to be, but we'll get through that. From the chairman of the planning board, the petitioner for a special permit dated 3/11, the planning board reviewed the petition listed above at the regular scheduled meeting, and that meeting was scheduled on April 12th, and recommends the following: 3 favorable, 2 unfavorable, see town planner letter. And town planner letter indicates the applicant requests a special permit to allow for a beauty parlor with a single-family dwelling on the subject property. The proposed beauty parlor will consist of a hair salon with 1 chair only. Such uses require a special permit from the zoning boards of appeals based on section 3.3.7. The only plan submitted with this application was a building location plan. No interior floor plan has been submitted, indicated areas to be used for the proposed beauty parlor. In addition, no information has been provided as to the square footage of the proposed use and the percentage calculation of the overall living area. Therefore, I recommend a favorable report be forwarded to the ZBA only if the sufficient plans and details can be provided by the applicant. With that, the floor is yours. Please try to tell us what you're going to do, or what you're trying to do.
I'm just trying to, I'm a hairdresser, obviously, and I'm just trying to work from home for a little while I have, I just had a baby last July, so
Congratulations.
it's temporarily, and it's a room that was already in my house on the main level right when you walk in. It was already there. There's no construction or anything like that. The only thing is a sink that was put in. Everything else is just a chair, mirror on the wall. So, working 2, maybe 3 days a week from my home. So that's all I have.
John, did you have an opportunity to review this at all?
No, I didn't, Mr. Chairman. This is the first I'm really hearing of it. I got the plan, or the application 2 days ago, but didn't have a chance to review it. My only comment at this point would be if there was a plumbing permit obtained, and if not, there needs to be, naturally.
Okay.
Yes, there was.
Okay, comments? Anthony?
Yes, question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is this room a room that was part of the house originally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
What was it previously, what was its use previously?
We just bought this house less than a year ago, but the people who had it before had it set up as just like a library sitting room. So,
Tony had an
You own this house?
yes.
And it's a single-family house?
Yep.
And you have a driveway?
Yes.
How many cars can you put in the driveway?
Probably 3,
How many do you have? 2?
2. Yep. Usually when I'm working, though, I'm the only one home. My husband works, so it's usually just one in the driveway while I'm working, but.
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
John?
Questions, Mr. Chairman?
Dave?
All set.
What's that? Go ahead.
Can you give me the size of the room? I mean, the plan you have has no dimensions or anything. And how you're gonna have people come in and where you're gonna have them park, and I notice in the plan you've got seats for people to sit, so I would gather you're gonna have more than one car there at a time, because if you've got someone in the chair and then someone waiting.
Well, I figured if somebody gets there a few minutes early,
My concern is the parking on that street, it's,
Our street is a very busy street as far as, our neighbor next door usually has 4 or 5 cars on the street. Many people park on the street once the parking ban is up. So parking has never been an issue, and we, you know, if we park on the street or.
No,
there's
but you're gonna
always
be
plenty
adding more
available.
cars, that's my concern. What's the size of the room?
I'm not
Any
sure.
Pictures, or?
I'm not sure off the top of my head, no. When I wasn't sure exactly what I needed, so when I came and they helped me, they said that should be fine. I didn't know I needed the exact,
Did you go to the building inspector's
footage.
office at all?
is that where Lori Braza works?
Yes.
Is it, yes, so yes.
Comment? Anybody else? Brian? Was this a salon before?
Before what?
Before you bought the house?
Actually.
I'm familiar with the area, so.
Actually, one of, my neighbor actually said, not the people we bought it from, but she said years ago, because she's lived there forever, she said that one of the previous owners was a hairdresser, and they did use it. I don't know if it was this exact room, I would assume it was, because I can't imagine it being anywhere else. Because it
So-
isn't kind of a different room that you would, I don't really know what else you would put there.
Is there currently a sink and is there currently a sink there
Yes,
in the room?
yes, because we had the plumber pull a permit.
It wasn't there previously.
No,
No.
no, no, not when, no, not before we bought the house.
Any other comments? I was down there tonight. It is a very, very tight neighborhood. The parking, there was cars everywhere. If we decided to grant this, I'd like you to get together with the building department and the building inspector, number one. But number two, I would limit this to maybe a 1 year at a time to see what the progress would be. And that's just my suggestion at this time. Hairdressers usually have to run a business out of a regular storefront, or, you know, we can't have and authorize these things throughout the town because it's a disadvantage to other hairdressers who have to pay fees and pay rent. So, you know, we're cognizant of that as well. And that's basically my comment concerning that. We understand the situation that, you know, when you have families, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to get out and rent a chair or go to your own hairdressing shop, or whether the chairs are set up, and actually go there and cut hair and get more customers versus trying to open up something at home. And while the other hairdressers are sitting there, you know, clearly paying rent and multiple clients coming through with the proper parking, we get into these situations and it becomes difficult in the neighborhood, especially during the winter for parking. So I just wanted to bring those comments out. If the board members are all set with any other questions, you'll have the last word before we close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely something that's temporary. It's not something I'm looking to do for long term. I'm not looking to grow my business, work more, you know, make a business out of this. It's just more, just a few days, just to kind of bring in a little bit of money while I have my daughter, and then, you know, when she gets a little bit bigger, I plan to go out of the house. This isn't something I plan to do long term, so just temporarily.
Thank you. We'll close the hearing, take it under advisement.
Thank you.
If you like, you can hang around to the end of the meeting for our decisions, and then we can explain to you what the process is.
Okay.
How many, we have two more? Yeah, we have two more hearings.
Okay.
Okay, great, thank you.
When we get to the warehouse one, John.
Yeah, sure. Does he want to take that now or later? Later?
Yes, later.
Did we just use those on
That's the
the-
city.
Who's on the panel?
Oh, I have
On the panel?
that's Kennedy. And then I have this one.
Okay, as we move on to the next hearing, this will be on the application of CMRK Inc., Railroad Drive in Northborough. Would you please step up and come forward? Welcome, sorry, shut it off.
My screen.
Okay. On the application of CMRK Inc. of 15 Railroad Drive, Northborough, Mass. For a special permit relief pursuant to provisions of the section 3.2.5.1 of the zoning bylaws in order to establish portable storage containers at the following premises. 146 South Main Street is shown on the assessors map sheet 59 in lot 3. 186 Central Street as shown on the assessors sheet 48, lot 387, and 161 East Main Street as shown on the assessors map sheet 42, lot 334, also as shown on the application and plans on file. With the petition, it's itemized the locations of where they are. Again, the zoning districts as well. We have a CC district, an IA district, and of course a CC district. Concerning the applicant's questions on the application, when the applicant was asked to explain the reasons that you assert the special permit sought is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning bylaw, Section 3.2.5.1 specifically provides for portable containers, storage containers in a commercial and industrial districts by a special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Upon the question that the proposed use of the premises will not create undue traffic congestion or impair pedestrian safety, the applicant states the proposed locations are within or adjacent to an existing parking lot and will not generate any new traffic on the various sites. All proposed locations were developed after consultation with the Office of Planning of Engineering. Concerning the question that the proposed use of the premises will not cause harm to the neighborhood or create a nuisance or hazard affecting the health, safety, and general welfare of the public, the applicant states the proposed locations are all situated as to not prevent interference with both vehicle and pedestrian circulation with each site. None of the proposed locations are within the public way or required a front yard. In addition, with the application is also each site has an authorization signed off by the landowner or building owner, and that's part of the file. I think that's all we have for that. There's a letter in the file here that I'll read right in. This is from CMRK Inc., Railroad Drive in Northborough, dear Town of Milford. My name is Ray Rutledge, Director of Marketing for CMRK Inc. I work from both the Connecticut office in South Windsor and our main office in Northborough. CMRK is the clothing collection arm for the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. St. Vincent de Paul has been serving those in need for more than 150 years. CMRK has been working with St. Vincent de Paul for over 25 years. The area they work with, the Society of Vincent St. de Paul, is in DePaul or in Massachusetts. The Boston Archdiocese, the Worcester, and the areas in Rhode Island and the Providence Archdiocese, and in connection, the Hartford one. CMRK also works with the Society of St. Vincent de Paul of Baltimore, Maryland, as of 2011. Along with St. Vincent de Paul, we also work with MADD in Connecticut, New Hampshire, New York, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. We have a letter here that from the planning board that the planning board reviewed the petition listed above at its regularly scheduled meeting of April 2 and recommends the following: 3 in favor, 2 unfavorable with a provision to maintain, see town planning letter. And the town planner letter indicates the applicant requested a special permit to allow for the placement of up to 2 5x5 portable storage containers at each of the above-listed sites as located on the attached site plans for the purpose of collection of used clothing. Under Section 3.2.5.1 specifically provides for the portable storage containers in a commercial industrial district by special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Each storage container's collection boxes will display on all 4 sides the Vincent de Paul logo, the words clothes and shoes, and book recycling, as well as various instructions or other pertinent information. The proposed locations are within the various parking lots and will not generate any new traffic on the sites. All proposed locations were developed after consultation with the Office of Planning and Engineering and are all situated as to prevent interference with vehicle and pedestrian circulation with each site. None of the proposed locations are within the public way or a required front yard. Therefore, I recommend a favorable report be forwarded to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Following the ZBA grant of the special permit, site plan approval will still be necessary from the Planning Board. With that, any board members have a conflict with this applicant? If not, sir, the floor is yours. Please tell us what you're trying to do.
All we're trying to do at the moment is just be in compliance. We removed all of our containers as soon as we got the letter. We were the original one over at Hannaford's Plaza in the automotive parts section. About everything that was said with Planet Aid really holds the same with us. Everything sort of works the same way. We work with the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. We've been working with them for over 25 years. We're not some of these companies that change the labels every 2 years on their containers, change the colors, come out with different names, as the Attorney General tries to chase them out of existence. So we've been with them, we're consistent, we've been with them for a long time, we've been doing it for a long time. Any questions for me?
Mr. Chairman?
Tony, go ahead.
Are you also a charity?
We work with the nonprofits. We are a for-profit, but we work with them, and they, it's a set contract with them plus poundage.
Could you clear up these locations? It says 146 South Main Street is a gasoline station.
That's the Sunoco station,
Which one?
Sunoco, right out in front of the plaza. It's there,
Oh, okay.
all right?
And the other one be?
Central Street Market, just a little convenience store.
Cooties there.
And then, of course, 161 Main Street is the auto parts plaza, which
Same
would
place
be
it
the,
was.
What
yeah,
auto
a
parts is
side.
it?
It's the
AutoZone.
AutoZone. It's near Hannaford's.
It's a Hannaford.
Yeah. So we're the original ones in that plaza to begin with.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing that kind of bothers me now is that the other fellow was in, and I guess you granted them two locations already. And, even if, I don't know how many companies they said were involved, but if you granted two to every one of them, we'd have them in every street corner.
Correct, I agree.
Could I say something?
Sure.
I think at this point, it's just us and Planet Aid. I don't think there's anybody else involved. So, I mean, we're looking at two companies, we each want a few locations, so I don't think we're asking for that much.
I don't believe
I
you
think
are.
you're asking for a lot to be put in these containers throughout the community and every single parking lot, and then the community has to look at an eyesore if that is the case, if it's not monitored correctly. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not in favor of throwing these boxes in every single parking lot between the north and south end of Milford. It's going to be an eyesore, and it continues to be an eyesore. You're a for-profit, they're also a nonprofit with a 503C format. I'm not in favor of a lot of these. I don't mind testing it out a little bit for a year or two and showing some equilibrium, but we're not going down this road, or at least I do not want to go down this road of having these boxes, and I'm not going to be in favor of having these boxes through every parking lot in the community. It's just not going to happen as far as what I feel, what my vote's going to be. And I'll tell you that right up front, because this town is not going to get overrun with these boxes and then finding trash everywhere. And it is historic, because I believe in one of your boxes, there was trash all around it, and it wasn't monitored. How often do you monitor your boxes?
It's a minimum of 3 days a week for any of the big plazas.
Do you guarantee that?
Oh, yeah, yep.
So currently, right now, you're asking for 161 East Main Street. And this is AutoZone where the Lincoln Drugs is.
Correct.
And we already have a box sitting in Hannaford's right across from the parking lot. There's already a box from whether it's your company or the other company, I'm not sure. You apparently drop boxes in this community without coming in front of this board, correct?
Well, we just,
Your
yeah,
company.
yeah, we did, but we had permission from the property owner, we didn't have permission from you.
Okay, the other location is, what's this, Central Market? I'm just
Central
trying-
Street
I'm still
Market.
trying to get
Cooties gas station.
the old Arcudis gas station?
Where, Tony?
Cooties.
On Central
Gas
Street.
station.
Down there, it's past,
Right down near the
a little
town
past the
highway
senior
department.
center, right?
Near the town barn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that the only?
The other one is the Sunoco.
Sunoco.
146 South Main. And you want to put up to 2 5x5 collection boxes on each site?
Those are smaller boxes, if the pictures that are there, just,
No, I'm
they're
just
4
saying you
feet, they're
want to
4
put
feet,
2 on
they're
each
4 feet
site.
by 4 feet.
I feel like the chair does, there's too many around town. It's an eyesore.
The Sunoco site isn't very large either.
No,
It's a
there's a
small
lot of
site.
stuff on there
I
already.
had a problem with them just finding a place to put a shed.
Yeah, I remember that when they came before us.
Any other comments from any board members?
No, I think I tend to agree. We're getting inundated with
All right, if not, you have your last, I don't think, any other comments, I guess? John, Dave?
You asked John?
If not, you have your last word before we take this under advisement?
Well, I just hope you'll take into consideration the work that St. Vincent de Paul does in the Boston area. They've given over $10 million in assistance to the area. It's a good charity, and I just hope you take that into consideration.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
We'll close the hearing, take it under
All right,
advisement.
thank you.
Okay. Is our last hearing?
Yep.
There you go. Okay, this is the hearing of Claflin Street LLC. Will the applicant please come forward? I'll read the notice of hearing. This is on the application of Claflin Street Limited Partnership, 20 Claflin Street, Milford, Massachusetts, for a special permit. Relieves sections to 1.1.0, 2.2, and 2.3.3.1, and any other applicable provision of the bylaw in relation to parcels of land occupied by the Blair House in Milford and designated as 4 Cemetery Street, 0 Claflin Street, 16 Claflin Street, and 20 Claflin Street in Milford, and shown on the assessor sheets 48 as lots 39, 43, 57, and 49. Special permit relief is sought to permit for the establishment of parcel 59, now owned by Joan Redden, and Robert Redden, which parcel is under agreement. Additional parking and a garage for storage and parking of vans, buses, used to transport patients and parties served by the nursing home and the adult daycare living facility. We have the application here. Attorney Fernandez is representing the client, I believe, John?
Yes.
Welcome to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
If you like, why don't we go right into the hearing, since you're going to be presenting this anyway?
Sure.
Would you like me to read this into the record?
No, that's fine. We're
Okay. If we go on the board, John, the media has asked us, we'll move the microphone over to where Mr. Parkson is so that the public can see what we're trying to do.
Would you
That's
like me
okay with you.
to work to the board? You want me
If that works for you.
Sure,
Just so
sure.
that the community can see exactly what you're trying to do.
We can do that.
Thank you.
All right, for the record, my name's John Fernandez. I'm an attorney in Milford. I have an office.
Excuse me, where is he? John, they want you to take the microphone and move it back further.
So that they can hit that camera that's over there and it'll...
Connor,
Right there?
you're good?
Okay. So my name's John Fernandez. I have an office here in Milford at 12 Main Street, representing Claflin Hill Limited Partnership, which owns the Blair House up on Claflin Street. I'm accompanied by Kyle Romano, who operates the facility, James Boudreau, who's working for the construction of any facility that's going to be built, and Bob Poxon from Garrier and Howland, who drafted the plans. For orientation purposes, we are at Cemetery Street, Claflin Street, Fairfield Court. I think we're all familiar with where the Blair House is. It's been there forever. I actually had an uncle who came home from World War II and spent most of his life there, what we would today call the stress disorder. And if you follow down, of course, it goes to Forest Street. The facility is what was once just a nursing home, has expanded into the area to include adult day health and home care services. And with that expansion, has also expanded its parking in the area so that it doesn't congest the street. So that there's some parking on Cemetery Street here, and they had purchased and secured a special permit for some parking in the back which would be somewhat parallel to the railroad. And then if you continue on beyond the railroad, of course, you're onto Depot Street where there are more commercial facilities following to where the railroad goes down to Depot. So the locus in question is this particular piece of property right back here, which is currently owned by the Reddens. It's a raw piece of land. It hasn't been developed, and it is contiguous to the parking that's already there. So in light of the fact that the applicant has a sister company which is going to be developing the assisted living over here, we were in on that recently, on the other side between Cemetery and Railroad, they had been having their vans parked over there. So this is nothing new in terms of what's going to be on the street or what has been on the street over here. What they have is they have their own fleet of buses that they, when I say buses, the small van-like buses that transport people who are associated with the nursing home to various events or for services, as well as utilized for the adult day health program that's there. So what they want to do is, this integrates very nicely, is to pick up this piece of property, expand some parking in here, and create an enclosed garage where they can do some storage and put the vans and locate them in there so that they're off the street. So we're not using parking up here. We're not congesting the street at all. And in fact, keeping it away from most residential by tucking it in the back behind the facility itself. So to the use itself, the nursing home adult day health uses are allowed uses in the residential zone by special permit. And this has a special permit to so operate. And as I think the planner indicated in his letter, the integration of this piece with all of this is simply an ancillary use to the existing permit. So what we're seeking to do here today is simply amend the existing special permit to incorporate this. And what he tells you in his letter, which is correct, is that this building meets all the setback, side yards, and other requirements of the bylaw for what is going to be constructed out there. The only issue that came up at the planning board, and I'll point it out to you, is the design had a drain in the garage connecting to a oil and separator, oil and what? Oil and grit separator for the gray water, wastewater from anything that was done in there, washing of the vans or whatever it might be, and then into the detention basin. It was pointed out at the meeting that by Mike Santora that that's probably not permissible. Bob went back and determined that's correct, so we're going to be removing that from the plan for site plan purposes. And they talked about, well, we should just, therefore, if this is going to be your connection, we'll just prohibit the washing of vans. What we would prefer is just, if a condition is to be placed, and I've drafted something that I can give to you, that it simply say that any wastewater resulting from the washing of vans will be disposed of in a legally permissible manner. So that whatever it is they need to do, whether it's a tight tank or use a recycling system or whatever it might be, there are any number of options that they could go to if they want to choose to do this, that they not be prohibited from doing it, because it just wouldn't be sensible to say you can't do it as long as they're doing it in a legally approved and permissible fashion. So that's what I...
Before we take questions from the board, I want to read into the, into the record, and as Attorney Fernandez indicated, the intent of the bylaw is to promote an efficient land use pattern which fosters and diversifies the tax bases. The addition of an additional parking and garage at a remote area in the back of the facility adjacent to the existing parking area is an efficient use of the vacant land and the overall land involved. Concerning the proposed use of the premises will not create undue traffic congestion or impair pedestrian safety, the applicant did indicate that there shall be no increase in the number of people served at the facility. It will actually probably better serve the traffic and pedestrian safety by providing more off-street parking at a remote location that's away from the existing pedestrian and the automotive traffic. In addition to that, the question was asked that the premises will not be use harm to the neighborhood or create any nuisance or hazard affecting the health, safety, and general welfare of the public, is that the apparent use of the property will not change at all in its appearance or in an impact neighborhood that will actually improve. So as I read the zoning board, the planning board letters, Mr. Fernandez indicated that the planning board did review this on April 2nd, and a favorable recommendation with the engineer stipulation not to be able to wash vehicles at this location under the discussion that we had just had. Concerning Larry Junkin, the applicant did request a special permit for the construction of the detached garage on the subject property. The proposed 5,184 square foot garage will be for the parking and storage of vans and buses utilized in the course of transportation of the nursing home and the adult daycare clients. As such, it constitutes an accessory use to the Blair House facility on the abutting properties. The proposal also includes the expansion of the existing parking lot that access Cemetery Street, and the expanded parking lot will provide for an additional 16 off-street parking spots, and the proposed garage will provide inside parking and storage for up to 12 vans and/or buses. All zoning requirements appear to be met, therefore, they did recommend to be forwarded to the zoning board of appeal as something of a favorable aspect. Amended site plan will still have to be required by the planning board after the granting of the zoning board special permit. With that, is there questions with the board? Any board members want to comment? Tony?
Attorney Fernandez,
Yes.
the only way to get into this would be off of Cemetery Street.
That's correct, yes.
And none of that exists now?
This all exists.
That all
Everything
exists,
from
right? They
here
own that already.
to here exists already. So this would be integrating it into the
continuation.
existing, that's correct. That's correct.
And,
Yeah, so there's no connection to Fairfield. It would not be a roundabout.
and
Although
basically
for
what-
access, for safety purposes, of course, fire trucks or anything else could go right down there and access.
So what you're looking for is an amendment to the existing special permit?
That's correct. Just because what it is the facility is operated, as you know, Tony, in a residential zone by special permit, and it has that permit, and since this is ancillary, we're incorporating it in, and that's what you'd want. It wouldn't stand alone as a garage. It would be a part of this facility. And I think an important point, Mr. Chairman, that was included in the application and that you mentioned, this does not facilitate any expansion of beds or use or anything else. This is merely trying to, I think, better utilize the area of the facility, and I think improve the pedestrian and traffic safety by assuring that these vans are, and the aesthetics by assuring that these vans, the 12 vans, are tucked away in the back, out of view, and we know where they're going to be and coming from on a day-to-day basis. And the condition I gave to you, Mr. Chairman, while you were reading that, was just to outline that particular, I think you turned it over, Mr. Chairman, was just to suggest the possibility of how to perhaps address that question.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my question. Currently, there's not a storm scepter there to be able to separate those vehicles from being washed currently right now, correct?
No.
No, we did propose a oil and grit separator
You did.
in this proposal, but did not, it is not properly connected to the disposal area as opposed, it has to be either, it would have to be connected to a sewer or a septic system.
Or it could be a tight tank, or.
As opposed to discharging into a 4-bay and then part of the drainage system. Because of the soapiness of the water, it's a gray water, so gray water is listed as a wastewater as opposed to just a clean runoff type scenario.
And is there any way currently right now you can connect for that?
Mr. Chairman,
Hi, John?
if I could. That question came, excuse me, into our office last week.
Mhm.
We consulted with a state plumbing inspector who has told us that those floor drains are allowed and they are supposed to tie into the municipal sewer. So there's definitely a way, and if that can't happen, they can apply for a variance with a tight tank. So
To be
it
pumped.
seems that there's definitely a legal way for them to dispose of that wastewater.
And that's all we were suggesting, Mr. Chairman, that provided, which of course is necessary anyway, but making it a part of the special permit makes it the law of the case, is that if we include a condition like this that says we want to emphasize that wastewater is to be disposed of in a legally approved way, then I think you sort of bootstrap the question that was raised. And I want to emphasize also that it wasn't that Mike was concerned about the oil or anything from the vehicles. It was just he considered the simple washing of the vehicles to be the byproduct to be gray water, which should be disposed of properly, and that's what we would intend to do.
Right. Okay, good.
And it's an important point for them to be able to do that in the facility.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? If not, you have the last word before we take it under advisement. Well, okay.
I'm looking
We're
left.
moving on.
you look right. I'm confused. Are you looking for us to approve the washing, or are you looking for us to not make it a condition prohibiting it?
I'm asking you to not make it a condition to prohibit it. You wouldn't be approving the washing, you would simply be emphasizing that if it is to take place, it is to take place in a legally approved fashion
Right.
and
That would be a
manner, that's
condition.
all. So,
If it takes
we would,
place.
yeah, we would ask you not to prohibit it, because it can be done in a legally approved fashion, and it can't, if it can be, why would we be treated differently than anyone else?
Okay, I'm just, John, can you just say what you said before, though, because I'm confused.
Yes, at some point last week, the question came into our office on what they can and can't do with the floor drains inside the building. Our plumbing inspector was out, so I called a state plumbing inspector. He got back to me and said, it is required to be disposed of in the municipal sewer.
So you
The
saying-
floor drains are allowed, and it's required to be disposed of in the municipal sewer. In a case where there's not municipal sewer, then, I believe with the variance, but I'm not 100% on that, but you can put a tight tank,
So-
if there's no sewer. So there's definitely a vehicle to allow this
All right, so.
floor drains legally.
So what you're saying is that in the town of Milford, you can discharge water into the municipal sewer as a matter of right?
What I'm telling you is that's what the state plumbing inspector informed me.
Okay. All right.
Is that an acceptable answer, Mr. Penn? Or would you like something a little bit more creative?
I don't know.
You're fighting it.
I just, I'm asking questions based on what I'm hearing, that's all.
And I think you're talking about the wash water into the sewer system versus the separation of oil.
Which would happen through the separator.
If I could just add to that, even the allowance of the gray water into the sewer system, it is not a direct discharge. It still has to be treated, it still has to go through a separator prior to discharge. Some sort, either an MDC trap or a particle separator. So it is not like this drain from this floor goes directly to into a sewer. It still has to go into some sort of a separation unit, a pre-treatment unit, prior to discharging to the sewer system. So there is still an avenue to treat anything that might get into this floor drain prior to discharge.
Yeah, I'm just not aware that in the town of Milford that the sewer department lets you discharge wastewater into the sewer.
If I may, that's probably a different argument. And again, if there's no means to discharge to public sewer, then there's a
Then a tight
means,
tank.
to have a tight tank. So
Okay.
regardless, there's a way for them to dispose of the wastewater properly. And that other conversation is a different road, and there's a lot more to it that's not pertinent to this situation.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
and
think that's your clarity that you were trying to get to.
Well, yeah, yeah. You're just asking us to not prohibit it. That's
right,
what
right,
you're
because,
asking, right?
that's correct, because it is a regulated event, and since it's regulated, we're gonna have to have a legally approved manner in which to make it happen. So it sort of is evident that either we can do it by one legally approved manner, and we will do it as such. Or if we can't, we don't need a condition from you saying we can't do it, it just won't be something that can happen. So I'm suggesting that our research between planning board and here suggests that a condition is unnecessary to prohibit, more a positive condition that says, you do it legally. And that's what I've tried to draft for you, in a very simple condition, which we're perfectly content to accept.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Comments?
No, Mr. Consigli.
Brian, what's that? You have the last word before we close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just ask that you act favorably upon the petition. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing's closed. Thank you.
Would you like me to take this back?
If you would, please.
Thanks, John.
Okay, let's go back to the. Thanks, Bob.
Can I have that? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, on the first application, which is Plan 8. What's the board's decision? Is there any comments, recommendations?
Well, we gave them 2 at the last meeting they were here.
Gave them 2 at the last meeting.
Okay, I'm not in favor of giving them 3 more. I mean, I could maybe go 1, but
I'd only be in favor of approving the ones on Sumner Street on their own location.
Okay,
I can live with that.
so Sumner Street, they wanted 4 boxes, correct? That's what I have here.
Okay. Yep.
Is that the same count? We'll still leave it at 4, correct? I have a motion by David for Sumner Street to allow 4 boxes at the corporate location.
I'll second it.
A seconded by Mary. Any other comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
All 5 main board members? That's unanimous. All main members. Okay, next hearing. Which is on the application of Emily Sabres concerning the hair salon.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, we have a time constraint.
Nope.
Mary, comments?
No, I think I can do it with it. I mean, if you wanna, what do you wanna give the permit for? Can we make them,
I would like to do it 1 year.
1 year?
I would like to make a suggestion,
Okay.
1 year at a time, providing,
just to see.
providing that the building inspector can comment and be able to review the property and make sure this clearly can work on behalf of
you know what, I can live with that.
the actual, yeah, because the town planner had a comment concerning that as well. So I would refer that over to the building inspector to make sure that the applicant had the proper plans in place. So there's a motion for that for 1 year, and also predicated on discussions with the building inspector for conformity. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous on all 5 members. Okay, Emily, if you don't know the procedure, there's a 20-day appeal period, so someone can come in and appeal the decision we just made. And if that's the case, then, of course, if that's not the case, you'd be getting a letter from town council to move forward. Please touch base with the building inspector on what his requirement's going to need for you. Okay? That's John Erickson, correct. Okay. Okay, the next applicant is the CM, the other storage facility, I believe it was, CMRK. And these are the storage facilities as well. Comments? Questions?
Could maybe do one location.
Anybody want to comment? You guys can't. These are very small locations, and clearly, I don't think these small locations, they seem to be jammed in smaller areas. We clearly don't need something close to Hanover's. There's already something there, so that advanced auto location would be out. I don't think any one of them actually work, because they're so small, especially the market size.
The Sunoco, I don't know how you could put anything more on that piece of property.
They could put, oh, is there already one on the Hannaford site, is that right?
Yes, there's already
Yeah.
one on Hamptons. I mean, if you want to make a recommendation that we allow one to Sunoco, that's fine, but I have a funny feeling we're going to have some snow issues over there. I want to make this for 1 year. I'll make a recommendation that this is for 1 year only,
It's fine.
unless the board wants to do something different, I need a recommendation.
That's fine with me.
We have a motion, so we have a motion to approve one for Sunoco on South Main Street. We have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second by Mary. Is this predicated to a 1-year issuance to be renewed yearly and reviewed?
It's fine.
Fine.
Okay, so we have a motion and second for 1 year for this canister with Sunoco. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Really need to monitor these things, and it is only good for 1 year. Okay, and the last one, which is Claflin Hill Limited Partnership, one we just finished with. We have a recommendation that the wastewater disposal, not to prohibit the wastewater, the disposal of wastewater from washing of vehicles shall be performed in a legal and approved manner. That's probably really the condition that we want to put in that decision,
I'm good with it.
if that's acceptable.
Yep. I'm fine with everything.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. A motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mary to adjourn, seconded by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Good night. Thank
Night.
you very much.